Bulavinaka, and welcome once again to another show of Speak Your Mind. I'm your host, Serafina Wedlock. Now, it's almost the end of another year, and everyone rushing around doing their Christmas shopping or to do last-minute shopping. Now, New Year's Eve, is just around the corner once again, and shopping is also to be done in New Year's. Now, with us in studio, we have the woman who's always constantly reminding us to shop smart and also know your rights as a consumer. And the Chief Executive of the Consumer Council of Fiji, Mrs. Premila Kumar, Bulavinaka, and thank you for joining us on the show.
Bula, thank you for the invitation.
Okay, now, Mrs. Kumar, almost the end of the year. How has the year been for you and the team at Consumer Council of Fiji?
The year has been very crazy for us, very busy indeed. I suppose over the years, consumers know that they can go to Consumer Council, and if they have any problem, the council will definitely look into it. So they have been coming over with their complaints, with their queries, with whenever they needed advice. So we have been extremely busy, and to indicate to you how busy we were,
right,
I would like to share the statistics for the last 11 months.
Please do.
In terms of how many complaints we have handled.
Right.
For your information, we have handled 1,888 complaints in the last 11 months, which is worth around $2.6 million. And out of that, we have solved 1,329 complaints worth around $1.55 million. So you can see how busy we have been trying to provide redress to consumers. But complaints handling has been just one portion of our work. But besides that is definitely advocacy work, where we would like to see changes made to the policies, etc. And as you know, again, in the budget announcement, through a lot of lobbying that we had to do over the years, there were two wins for consumers. One was the setting up of Consumer Tribunal, and that is the best news ever for the people of Fiji. Once we have Consumer Tribunal, at least consumers can get redress without worrying too much that the complaint is worth more than $5,000.
Right.
As you know, with Small Claims Tribunal, when your complaint is more than $5,000, they won't be able to look into it.
Right.
And in this day and age, most of our shopping is beyond $5,000.
Exactly.
So that simply means that, you have to get a lawyer and take your matter to court. And going through the court procedures is not an easy one. So for that reason, Consumer Tribunal has been the best news. But besides that, another win was the setting up of the monitoring system. As you know, every year the duty is reduced on certain items, and with good intention.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's never realized on the ground. On the paper, it looks good that the vehicle duty has gone down, smartphones duty has become zero now. But as far as consumers are concerned, we're still paying the same price.
Exactly.
So the question here is, who is taking away that duty that we're not supposed to pay?
Right.
Somebody is pocketing that money.
Right.
So through our strong advocacy and lobby, we managed to get two things done for 2013. So it has been an exciting year at the same time. But besides, again, advocacy and lobbying, etc., we also have to make submissions, like when the new laws are being drawn, or when the old laws are being reviewed, or when there is any intention by the Commerce Commission, or for that matter, any government organization, when they are reviewing even the price of any product.
Right.
So we give in our submission on behalf of the consumers, simply saying whether the law covers the consumer aspect of things or not, or it is too producer driven. So yeah. So all in all,
very busy year.
Absolutely.
Now, of the majority of the complaints that you've received, how many? What was the highest? Like complaints on? Was it on high purchase goods or?
Well, this year has been a very interesting year.
Okay.
Generally, it's taken for granted that when it comes to Consumer Council, and particularly the complaints we receive, normally the complaints are related to landlord tenancy. That has been the number one complaint for so many years. But this year, that is our fourth complaint.
Oh, wow.
So it seems that people have become aware of the issues and they know how to handle that. I really don't know why it is not number one complaint. So our number one complaint has been online shopping, which is a new way of shopping these days.
That's true.
And once you have internet service, then of course you have the world to yourself, and the various shops or boutiques that are advertised online where you can do your shopping. So online shopping complaint has been our number one, and this complaint is mainly related to a local online business. This is Pink Window Creations.
That's right.
They have been taking up money and not supplying the goods. And so far, we've received more than 200 complaints worth around far more than $80,000. So people are very upset about that, and I do understand why they are upset. And unfortunately, as I said, once we have consumer tribunal, then such matters can go. And even now, consumers can still use small claims tribunal to take this company to small claims tribunal to get their refunds. But we've been talking to this company and trying to find ways through which the company can pay the consumers. They've started making payments, but the whole process is very slow.
Okay, and what has been number 2 on the list?
Number 2 has been the mobile products.
Oh, another one.
Another one, interesting one, in fact, because when it comes to mobile products, if you look at the statistics, people are carrying 2 phones. And just like any other product in the mobile technology, new products are coming, old ones are being phased out. But the complaints are mainly related to just a few businesses who have been duping consumers in a nice way. They're selling counterfeit products. They are misleading consumers by saying all these features are there, but when they take it home, those features are not there. And they're also selling refurbished phone as new phone. And this is what consumers need to be very careful about, because this is the time when people are giving away gifts, mobile phones as gifts, or mobile products as gifts. With refurbished products, there are consumers who have bought a brand new phone in packaged well, but when they took it home and when they started using, they found pictures of Chinese people, photos and numbers and whatnot. So obviously it's not a new phone. So then we had to step in and provide a redress to these consumers.
Wow. Well, we'll be talking more on this. Of course, the year. What has it been for the Consumer Council of Fiji? Now, if you just joined us and you have questions for Mrs. Premila Kumar, please do so. Do call us up with them. It's 3220-906 or 907, or you could even text us on 825. We're heading to a break, but we'll be back with more. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind. And yes, we have Mrs. Premila Kumar, who's no stranger to you, of the Consumer Council of Fiji. Now, we were talking about the top 5 that made the list of the most complaints that the Consumer Council has had over the years, over this year, rather. Now, Mrs. Kumar, you said the second was the mobile phones. What was the third on the list?
The third one is electronic products. Again, the reason why we are getting really substandard electrical goods into the country is because we have no standards. We got to have standards in place so that the traders can comply with the standards. And I know that the standards body is trying to develop the standards to curb this particular problem. But because we don't have the standards, that's why consumers are facing problems when they buy electronic products. And, the issues are related to warranty, the parts, the electrical problems with the product. Again, associated with that is, of course, the hire purchase, when you take products on loan and then you find the products faulty. So obviously the person is angry and decides, okay, I'm not going to make the payments. And if you stop the payments, then that's another problem altogether. And this is where my advice to the public is, please do not stop your payment, because there are 2 different issues. One is product related, where you're complaining your product is not working. But the other one is you've borrowed money to buy that product. So these
Exactly.
are separate issues, and you need to pay that money.
Mm.
So number 3 is definitely electronic products, and number 4 has been landlord and tenancy,
Yeah, mostly the number
which
one
has
before.
slipped to number 4 position this year,
Right.
and we are happy about that.
Exactly.
Because landlord tenancy issues can be very complex and complicated. It can be emotional as well when people are expected to leave the house, immediately.
Yeah.
Sometimes notice period is not given, and some landlords, they exercise upper-handedness. They lock the house. They don't allow their tenants to move in, and it can be very, very complicated.
Now, why do you think that they have dropped down to the fourth on the list? Do you think it's that because, well, not everyone sees a reason now to complain a lot, or have they just been hindering? Have just been complying with the rules?
I believe probably people are aware of their rights,
Right.
which was perhaps the gray area where the landlord thought that they can do this, and the tenants thought they can do this.
Right.
I mean, that's where the dispute starts. But we have been encouraging consumers that you got to have an agreement. An agreement is the document that will spell out do's and don'ts. And when you don't have an agreement, obviously there'll be dispute.
Exactly.
Because, the landlord or the tenant cannot read each other's mind. It has to be on the paper. So I believe that consumers are now more aware of it, because for last 6-7 years, landlord tenancy has been number one problem. And besides that, Commerce Commission has been doing a fantastic job as well.
They have.
In terms of landlord and tenancy issues. They've got their team there who go out and try and solve the issue. And they've come up with a guideline as well for landlord tenancy. So several things helped
Exactly.
in controlling this problem, and perhaps that could be the reason why it is number 4 now.
So hopefully it drops even lower as the years go by.
Yes, I look forward to that.
Okay, and number 5 on your list.
Yes, surprisingly, number 5, not surprisingly, I shouldn't say I'm surprised, no. It's to do with Water Authority of Fiji.
Wow, one of the most, amongst us.
Yes, and there are a lot of complaints coming our way on Water Authority. And this is mainly related to the new meters,
Yes.
where consumers they go through this shock period.
Right.
As soon as the meter is changed, the bill skyrockets.
Yeah.
So some of them are of the view that they have not been billed correctly. There are also disputes in terms of, the leakage.
Yep.
And what I call it, estimated billing.
Yeah.
So it's mainly to do with the billing.
Right.
That has been the main issue.
Main issue, yeah, which I think they've recovered with during the when Water Authority was also trying to change their system.
Yes. So we have been taking our complaints to Water Authority, and they have been helpful in providing redress to consumers. But yes, we would like to see the complaints, reducing in number.
Exactly.
Mainly if it's associated with a utility service provider, and water is so crucial.
Yes.
So
necessity.
so we would like to see lesser complaints against.
Exactly. Well, have the complaints increased as opposed to last year, or have they gone down?
Complaints have gone up because we have also added a new service for consumers.
Oh, okay, what was that?
As of last year, the government was kind enough to give extra 100,000 to the council, and we have used that money in setting up debt management and consumer advisory services.
Okay.
And this was mainly in relation to the financial services sector
Right.
that seems to be unattended at the moment, because for the last 3 years, Consumer Council has been raising awareness on financial services that are being provided by banks and other financial institutions. So we realize that every person, if you talk to anyone,
Right.
has got a bank account or has borrowed money from someone or the other, and yet the consumers are not well protected.
Exactly.
So for that reason, we decided to set up a service center at the council where we can assist consumers to get their loans restructured, we can handhold and guide them with their budget, and also help them manage their funds better or manage their debts better, because we have got cases where consumers simply don't realize their financial obligation. Like, for example, when their property is going on mortgage sale, they go and really strip the house.
Exactly.
They don't realize that all that will be charged against their loan. You see, so why do that? So it required a lot of awareness raising, and that's what we've been doing. And mainly in terms of reading your contract, understanding your contract, also understanding when you borrow money, what is the cost of borrowing. It's not just like going to a bank and, feel happy and excited, the bank has approved my loan.
Yes.
But at what cost did they approve that loan? Exactly. One has to understand that. So interest rate, whether there is other fees and charges associated with that, and what are these fees and charges? Does that make your borrowing more expensive? So in my office, I've got a dedicated officer who looks at all these problems.
Nice.
And we've been helping consumers if they get notices, particularly if their houses are put on mortgage sale. So we try and solve those issues for them.
Nice. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about this service. But yes, if you just joined us, you're on Speak Your Mind. We're heading into a break, but we'll be back with more. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind. And, like I said, if you'd like to call in for questions, feel free to do so. 3220-906 or 907 is the number to call. We're back to Speak Your Mind with our in-studio guest, Mrs. Premila Kumar of the Consumer Council of Fiji. Now, Mrs. Kumar, I'm very interested in the service that you mentioned. This is really handy for the consumers. So you basically advise them, and also you lay out a payment structure, or
yes,
something of
we
the
do
sort?
that. We don't give loans,
Right.
but we assist the consumer in dealing with their debt and restructuring their loan, or if they have to take other loans from elsewhere to take care of the debt, we help in all that. So in the process, we alert the consumer their financial position, so that they better understand which way they're going with their money.
Exactly.
And the situations where they have to cut the cost along with increasing the revenue. And when it comes to increasing the revenue, then we also try and help them look at options that are available where they can increase their revenue. So generally, it's a whole family affair. It cannot be just the two borrowers or just a single borrower who has taken the loan. But sometimes we have discussion with the whole family, so that each and every family member understands the financial position of the borrower, so that they all can help and get the borrower out of the mess.
So this is really personal. You actually get really personal with some of these consumers, don't you?
We just have to, because otherwise we know that if we're not going to help them, they'll become destitute.
That's right.
And they will be out on the street, and more problems can be created. And often we have found that the financial institutions have been extremely kind, and they go extra mile to help the consumer. But we also think that if the consumer tries on his or her own, often they're denied that opportunity.
That's true.
And the way we help is also based on the law. So with Consumer Credit Act, we are able to seek assistance based on the law. And there are financial institutions who are able to provide that assistance.
Do most of them come after they've taken a loan, or do you have instances where some of them come before they take a loan to seek your advice and maybe your guidance?
We've got both types of consumers coming to us.
Good.
We've got cases where consumers will come and seek our advice in terms of which hire purchase company they should be borrowing, or if they're buying a particular product, which product they should be borrowing, and which one is offering a better interest rate. So that kind of discussion we have. Or sometimes they just shoot an email to find out, okay, we want a home loan. Which bank would you recommend? So when we have information of that nature, we assist them. And obviously, in most cases, we have consumers coming over with a lot of debt on their head. and they don't know how to deal with the situation, very depressed, because they've been getting all this default notice, their property has been advertised, it's going to go through mortgage sale, and they don't know where else they're going to live. So it's a very depressing situation for them. And then we step in to see how we can help. But in the process, the two things happen. One is the consumer understands his or her responsibility.
Right.
That as a borrower, this is what you need to do. But also realizes the bad decision he or she has been making. So it is a lesson learned, but in a very hard way.
Exactly. Well, that's good. So far, you've had more than 1,000 complaints, and you said most of them you have actually addressed. What about the ones that have not been able to been addressed or have not been successful?
In those cases, we refer the matter to Small Claims Tribunal.
Okay.
In other words, we encourage the consumer to file their case with Small Claims Tribunal, and we help them fill up the form, prepare the case, guide them, so that they can take the matter to Small Claims Tribunal. And there are other cases where we refer the matter to Commerce Commission, because Commerce Commission is the enforcement agency.
Right.
And through the enforcement powers, they can take the matter up. And there are other different types of cases where we refer to other organizations as well. Like, for example, plywood.
Yeah.
Currently in the market, we've got substandard plywood. And so we need to liaise with the forestry department, the conservator of forest, to provide redress to consumers. So then it leads to a bigger issue, where policy changes are required, and better realization of the problem.
Right.
So that the policymakers can understand the issue and come up with a better solution for consumers.
That's right. Well, now with the Christmas season, I know we just had Diwali a few months back. Have you had any complaints since regarding maybe purchases made or?
Oh, December is a crazy month for us. And every day the office is full of people.
Wow.
They're dropping in with their purchases where they feel that they have been wronged. We are receiving emails in regards to consumer issues. Also, they're writing letters. So from the morning, I can tell you today has been a crazy day for us because people who did shopping in the weekend, today they're back in the office.
Complaining. Oh my
goodness.
Yeah.
So yes, they do have problems, and some of them have very genuine problems that we have to look into. And I would say that the traders are cooperating very well, which is a good thing.
That is good.
It's the spirit of Christmas is there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice that the traders are trying to provide the solution. But again, there are some traders who are not complying with the laws of the land,
right.
And that can be quite frustrating.
Have you had instances where traders just kind of like hide the fine print in their products?
Yes. They will. A trader will not disclose all the information.
Yeah.
They will try and only, it's a marketing gimmick. It's a marketing technique. Just tell what you need to tell to get the product sold.
Right.
So it's buyer beware. So in that situation, I'm always encouraging consumers that you need to do some research on ground, and you got to know more about the information about the product before you venture out buying that product.
Exactly.
You can get that information from your relatives, from your neighbors, Google, or visit about 4 or 5 shops.
On the same.
And definitely one shopkeeper will give you some information, the other will add on, third, fourth, fifth. By that time, you'll become an expert on that product. And then you can make your decision whether you want to buy that product or not.
Oh, exactly. Well, thank you. We're heading into another break. And if you just joined us once again, you're on Speak Your Mind with Gold FM. Boleh and welcome back to Speak Your Mind. And once again, we're talking to Mrs. Premila Kumar of the Consumer Council of Fiji. Now, as I said, it's the lead up to Christmas, New Year's just around the corner, back to school shopping. And the one thing that I've noticed is consumers buying outside their means. Not living within their means, but buying outside their means. Now, Premila, what would you advise these consumers, especially now with the festive season just approaching?
I know. I mean, sometimes when I come out strong and I say to consumers, you must get your shopping list done, you must plan your budget, work out what food items you're going to buy. If you have to give a present to someone, how many presents you're going to buy, or what is the dollar worth of presents you're going to buy, so that you can divide it amongst 5 presents.
Exactly.
And you can say, okay, I'm not spending more than $20. So you set a value to what you're going to spend.
Right.
But when I talk about this, sometimes I feel that, obviously consumers know, and I'm probably saying it too many times. But looking at the complaints we receive through our debt management and consumer advisory services, I realize that there are many, many consumers out there who don't do their budget well. In other words, end of the year simply means they've received their back pay, they've got their bonuses, let's blow it up because it's Christmas time. And Christmas cheer is there, and of course going out shopping means nice music, good atmosphere, good feeling end of the year. We are closing the year. So you feel rich.
Exactly.
And to make things worse, some of this advertisement that goes on the air, particularly by the hire purchase company, where it says 0 deposit and free interest, there's no 0 interest rate for next 6 months, it simply means that you can just walk into a store, pick up an item, go home, not even having a single cent in your pocket. So it makes you feel rich. Right. It empowers you.
Right.
That, you can lead a king's life for that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And some people get really tempted. In other words, they can't control their temptation. So they just walk in and say, okay, I don't have to pay any deposit. I don't have to... there is no interest rate that's going to be charged. For 6 months, probably I can pay off. They end up not just buying one item, but they buy the whole household item and they take it home. And then come January, they realize that they can't cope with the payment.
That's true.
And this is generally the story every year. Most people who buy items in the month of December, by March, February, March, April, they cannot meet the payments because they have not planned well. And they don't realize that, once you get your bonus and back pay, the next pay is far away. But during that time, there are other expenses coming up, like back to school. You have to pay your city rates if you live in the city area.
That's true.
Your car insurance, your health insurance, whatever other expenses there are, you need to pay all that. So that's why I always advise to consumers that, when you get your back pay and bonuses, all your essential payments, like if you have to pay your monthly payments for your house,
right,
you go and make that payment first. Set aside money for your electricity bill, your water bill, because these are essential things. You can't do without. And then you start planning, okay, this is the money I have, and now what am I supposed to eat on Christmas Day? Now, there has been we've seen it in Fiji, it's a common practice,
right,
that on a Christmas Day, you got to have lovo, the Indian curry, the Chinese food as well. So you cook everything on one day.
That's true.
And after you have spent your money on just one meal, and, if you have a fridge, great. If there is a leftover, you can keep them and you can have it. But sometimes when you don't have a fridge, it means the food is bad and it goes in the bin. And then the next meal is just cassava tea, bread tea, or roti dal.
Exactly, like how we like to put it. We'll leave extravagant today, tomorrow we'll be biting our nails.
Exactly.
Just trying to figure out
so
what to
So
have.
again, for the women, when you're planning the festive season, you need to plan it in such a way so that your dollar spreads.
That's true.
And, you can still entertain the family, they can enjoy. Because obviously, if you're going to have 7, 8 dish at once, you can't enjoy all the food. Yeah, if you have guests, it's another story. But if it's just a family meal, and I'm sure the family understands that. So whatever you do, it has to be within your financial capability. It cannot be beyond that, because going beyond means debt. So come January, you start your new year on a wrong footing.
Exactly.
You've got a lot of debt which you have to clear. And then the cycle continues, more debt, and ultimately the possessions you have in the house has to be pawned, has to be sold, repossessed. So all problems starts creeping.
Exactly.
So planning is very, very crucial. And that's what I'm advising consumers to do.
Have you had consumers come in before the festive season and ask you basically, or the advisory council, and say, I want to, this is my budget for Christmas. I want to do the shopping. Can you advise me on how I can spend? Have you had consumers?
No, they don't come forward with the whole plan, but they do call in, as I say, on a particular product.
Right. Oh, okay.
So we help them on the product. But when we conduct our community workshops, what we do is, one of the exercises for the community is to work out what are the expenses. So they start listing, in 1 week, what do you spend your money on? Like how much dollar worth of food do you buy, transport, if you're taking cigarettes, prepaid cards, Yangona, whatever your expenses. So they list that down. And then the other column is, where is your money coming in? What are the source of money? How do you get your income? So then they start listing, and automatically they see that the two figures are, there's a big gap in terms of what they're spending and what they are getting. So it's a good way of making them realize, and also try and plan better, so that they don't go into more debts.
That's so true. Now, I've noticed a lot of traders have also become a bit more safeguarded with all the amount of paperwork that you need to sign when you're getting products. Now, have any of the consumers have had to face where they're saying, I don't remember reading this, or I don't remember signing this? Have you found out if these traders explain every paperwork that they give the consumers?
Not really. They don't, because my staff, they're also consumers. They've experienced it themselves. But because they work for the council, and when we talk about a particular topic, all my staff are trained in that area. So they know the issues. But I've seen another tactic being used by the traders, where they make you sign on the dotted line by saying that I read and I understood this document, I've sought legal opinion, all those 5 or 6 clauses are written, and then you sign off.
Right.
So this is where, consumers need to be, again, be more responsible. Before signing off that piece of paper, they can always say, can I take this document home? And I always advise consumers, because, when it comes to hire purchase, consumers have right to information, and they can get all the pre-disclosure. In other words, what is the cash price, what would be the monthly repayments, all the details will be there on one page. And if they're looking for a fridge, they can go to 5 different stores, get the disclosure, take it home, compare, and make a decision. Which shop you're going to buy that fridge ultimately.
Okay. Well, we'll be talking more on this, so do stay with us. And once again, it's Speak Your Mind with our guest today, Mrs. Premila Kumar of the Consumer Council of Fiji. Welcome back to our final segment of Speak Your Mind today with our chief guest in studio, Mrs. Premila Kumar of the Consumer Council of Fiji. Now, as we mentioned, it's a build-up to Christmas, and a lot of awareness needs to be done when doing Christmas shopping, and also back-to-school shopping. Now, Mrs. Kumar, we were talking about some of the traders and some of the documents they've had to sign. Have you had instances where consumers have provided their copy of the documents, or is it always from the trader?
Well, we expect the trader to provide the documents, but consumers, as I said, they have right to information. And in other words, they can always ask for a copy of whatever they have signed, although they might have to pay for that. So they can ask for a parallel copy of whatever they have signed.
Right.
And before signing, my advice is don't sign. just take those documents home, read them, understand, seek opinion. As I said, when you're signing these documents, particularly with hire purchase, you need to understand how much insurance you are paying, what is the warranty period, what is the interest rate, what is the repayments for every month, you know.
Yeah.
And once you understand all these things, then it's better for the consumer to sign off, because signing off means that you understand your financial obligation.
That's true.
That's why you've taken up that loan to buy the item that you have been eyeing for. So, and I really don't feel that the consumers should feel that I was rushed in the shop. There were so many customers lining up, and therefore I just signed it because they asked me to sign it. No. There's something called consumer responsibility. As a responsible consumer, you have the right to that information. And at the end of the day, it's your money that every trader is after. So it's the consumer who has the power of money. They have the power. And therefore, consumer can make the decision. Even you know, you can go get all those papers, read. And if a trader refuses to give that paper, the consumer should understand that's the last trader that you should be going to. And if all consumers start exercising their power, then the traders will have no option but to comply. You may have seen that particularly for this year. Previously, we used to have just about 3 or 4 hire purchase company. Now we have got almost more than 10, 20 hire purchase company. You go to any big store, they are willing to give items on hire purchase.
Or lay-by.
Or lay-by. So you can see there is this competition going on amongst the traders, and they're all after your dollar. So consumers should exercise that. And if a trader says, look, I'm not going to give you the documents, they should move away. Come and talk to the council. Because there are certain rights which are recognized in Consumer Credit Act. But I feel saddened when consumers come to me and they say, you know, they play innocent. That I didn't know, you know, I was rushed and all that. No. That doesn't buy in, you know. One has to be responsible.
Exactly.
And we always say to consumers, particularly when you want to buy a home and you're going into home loans or car loans, I always advise consumers that if you have any problem, come to the council. We'll be able to help you. Because this is big loan. It's not a small loan, you know. And I've also noticed that when I handle mortgage sale issues, there are consumers who don't file their papers properly. When you have a home loan, you should create a folder that should carry all the information. So even if you take more loan on a home loan, all that information should be in that folder, the terms and conditions, or if the financial institution changes the interest rate because they can, all that information is there. Because we have come across cases where the errors were made by one of the financial institution, where they were, you know, the lady had signed 5% for 5 years, but they were charging after the second year, they were charging 10%.
Oh, wow.
And she didn't know about that because her account went into arrears, and in fact her property was advertised for mortgage sale. But when all the papers etc. was dug into and looked into, then there was a realization that the financial institution had made a mistake. So that can happen to anyone.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm saying it's very, very important that one has to keep all this crucial information and not just buy and think that, you know, this is a receipt I will not need. You don't know when you will need that receipt.
Keep that all in that file.
Yes.
Everything that's been done, payment or any changes.
Yes.
In the policy.
It's very important. I mean, like when we do our grocery shopping, even for that we should keep our receipt till our next shopping.
True.
Because you don't know when you will need that receipt, because, you know, even if you bought, say, milk, and if the milk goes bad, if you have the receipt, you can get the redress. But if you don't have the receipt, you can't get the redress.
What about those stores that normally has a sign, once sold cannot be returned?
Oh, no.
We still see those signs around.
You know, I mean, we had done a campaign with Ministry of Industry and Trade.
Yeah.
and we made sure that most of these signs are out of the shops.
Right.
And we still monitor the
That's
shops
good.
because they cannot have that sign. Under the Sales of Goods Act, consumers have right to redress. So you can't say once goods sold, it's no longer my responsibility, it's your responsibility. No way. So that is a big no-no.
So if you happen to see, signs in stores, please give Mrs. Kumar a call and let her know.
Exactly. Even we started working on the signs first.
Yeah.
That big signs that used to appear in the stores.
Right.
And you will see that most signs are out. It's no longer there. But these notices do appear on receipts. And we are still working with the traders to make sure those signs are not stated on the receipt either. But even if it is stated, when it comes to redress, those messages carry no meaning.
Right.
It's not a hindrance to consumers for the redress.
It
is meaningless.
Redress.
Yeah.
Not
because
good.
the statutory declaration is there and the laws are there that protects the consumer. So it's immaterial.
Exactly. Well, we're almost wrapping up the show, but before we do go, before I go, Merry Christmas to you, Mrs. Kumar, and any last words for our listeners this today?
Well, I would like to thank the consumers. They have been very great, supportive of the work we do. And I would like to wish them Merry Christmas. And I also like to give them a last-minute advice. Please plan your shopping and don't go into debt. Try and avoid that.
Okay. Well, on that note, we wrap up Speak Your Mind today. Until next week, you have a pleasant day and Merry Christmas.